Welcome to another Nathan and Oz special. It's just us two. We always have, every once in a while, a little fun topic we like to talk about.
Yeah.
This video, we want to do VR. Talk about VR.
Virtual reality.
Yeah, because you've had experience with VR.
I've had a bit of experience with VR.
I was an enthusiast for. I guess I still am.
You still are?
Yeah.
You like the fake world?
I like the
This fake dimension lies in a box.
I have issues with the metaverse and what they're going to use VR for. We'll get into that. But I liked the idea of VR gaming and how games feel like to play in VR. I think it was very exciting and very cool.
You see, when I tried it, it was cool, but then I took the headset off. And I felt my soul separating from my body. It's called depersonalization. You ever felt it?
No.
It literally feels like your soul is separating from your body. You move your
no,
hand,
I've never felt it.
you feel like your soul is back here, but it's like playing catch up with your body. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah.
It's
Do
not
people
like
do have impressions? They say that, after playing VR for a few hours, they'll take it off. And because in VR you move with teleporting or joysticks, they say when they take it off and then they go to walk, they're like, no, this isn't how it works.
These stick things.
I'm meant to stand. I can only walk a meter forward each. I'm meant to teleport.
Yeah.
Or the worst thing was playing Half-Life Alyx, right? And you used to just everything gravity gloves to you. And when I'd go out of the world, I'd be like, oh, I have to get up and get that. I can't just point and bring it to me.
If only we were telekinetic.
If only. But VR for a long time has been, I think, on a slow burn.
Slow burn? What do you mean slow burn?
Slow burn. It hasn't been picked up by mainstream.
Well,
It's kind of been there, and it's slowly, I think, gradually getting to mainstream. But for a very long time, especially with PC VR, where you have to buy a $1,000 headset, and then buy computer components, and then buy the games.
yeah.
You're basically dropping $5,000 before you even get it. It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah. Oh, you think VR?
Okay, true. I mean, when you compare it to Warhammer,
Just
motorcycles.
Having a drug habit, they're all about as expensive.
See, that's the thing. When my parents are like, you spend too much time with VR, I'm like, at least I'm not doing drugs. Well,
That's a good counter.
but then they're like, yeah, but you don't go outside much. And I'm like, who wants to?
But you're still slightly olive skinned. It's weird, man.
It's genetics.
I used to go outside all the time when it was legal, and I still remain the same color. Or I was about as red as this one.
Yeah.
Those two colors. It's not fair.
But it's funny, because in VR and the metaverse, you can look however you want to look.
You can be a fairy fox boy with instead of 9 tails, you have 9. I'm just saying, those are the things I've seen on VR chat, man. There's some strange things.
That's what you saw in VR chat?
Yes.
You saw that. You saw that and went, ooh!
I didn't go, ooh.
Ooh!
I went, ooh.
Oh, I was more of a...
Dude, there's anime in there.
I agree there are parts of anime that are quite disturbing.
I'd say
Okay, not quite.
2/3.
Very disturbing.
2/3.
Some anime is quite disturbing, but there's certain genre.
Even mainstream anime has some weird stuff in it. man.
Even the mainstream stuff, they always just sprinkle a little bit because it's just part of the cliche.
That's why I say 2/3.
Yeah, 2/3. Okay, I agree with that.
2/3 of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we going to do a video about anime now? I think that's another discussion we need to talk about.
Well, anime and VR go hand in hand. So, my first foray into VR was at Disneyland in 2009.
Really?
Yes.
What? I just learned so much about you. 1, you went to Disneyland, and 2, you out and about in 2009.
Think I've been inside my whole life? Think I'm a boy in a bubble? Is that what you're trying to... No, I'm kidding. So yeah, they had the thing where you put it on, but it was like you were standing at this console, it had a cord coming down from the roof.
Yeah.
And you had a lightsaber thingo. And it wasn't actually a lightsaber because they didn't own it at the time, I don't think. But it looked like one. And it looked awful on the inside of it. It was like original first Tron movie,
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't like it then either.
Yeah, you didn't. Do you not like VR?
Look, there's gun games in it, right? There's nothing more fun than actually having a gun and shooting people. What I mean to say is,
in a virtual reality where bullets don't hurt you.
Yeah, like the Matrix, right? It's fun to play war games where you actually are aiming the gun, so you can see how good you are. And man, I'm good with a pistol. It's like bang, 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 bang. One in each hand, just banging everyone.
Yeah, I really agree. Pavlov is my favorite pastime. I love Pavlov.
Pavlov is a lot of fun. I played Alex, and the first mission was just too real.
Too real.
It was like, oh, we live in this time. I don't need to play Alex Half-Life. I can just go outside.
Go down the city.
Yeah. Dude, I went outside the other day, and a cop came by, threw a can on the ground, told me to pick it up. That's how bad it is.
Was he like...
So I wasn't really a big fan of Thingo.
Alex.
Alex. I liked...
Best VR game of all time.
I liked that you could pick things up and do stuff with them. Like, you start on the
balcony?
The balcony, and you see citizens down there, you just go... Yeah. I missed every shot.
Alex is my favourite game because it's the most immersive.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best looking. And it's just... Valve, when they do actually get around to finishing or publishing something, it is done to a polish and quality that you know. I just thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I love polish.
You love polish.
I love production value. With Alex, they had the time and resources to actually do like market and playtesting research, and so elements in that game are so good. You didn't get to play it, but there's this level where there's a monster that can't see you, but it can hear
makes
you.
Noise. You make noise and fight.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah.
And like there's
and
like
you can't hurt it, can you?
No, you can't. Yeah, no, you have to trap it. And there's parts in the game now where there's bits of smoke, and if you start coughing, then it comes for you. And so you got to hold. It's really cool because I saw this mechanic as soon as I launched the game. We hand up to like the headset, Alex automatically covers her mouth, and so there's parts of the game where you walk around, and the monsters are like all predator-like, and it's but it's so immersive. I remember that's like Half-Life games are the only games where I've nearly had actual panic attacks in them.
I had one playing Dota with Shad.
But that's I don't think that's from immersion, it's from like social anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I played League and it all went away.
For now, until you like right now you're on the like beginner's curve. As soon as you like, go up, you're gonna start getting those again.
That's true. That's true.
Like Half-Life games, I mean that's another video I could do as well. Just there's a part in Half-Life 2 where you're driving the buggy on a railway track, and it's all fog, so you can't see anything in front of you. And you're driving for a few minutes. I'm like, oh, this is fun, really into it. I'm like, being 15, my like face is as close to the screen, so I'm like, oh, I'm Gordon. And then you hear the and you're like, oh, there's a train coming. And you look behind you and there's nothing. And then like out of the smoke in front of you, there's a train coming towards you. And so you just like, and having that same experience but in VR with a like enemy monster, terrifying. Which part of me is like, okay, VR is great for immersion and like feeling like you're actually there, because for some game developers it's like, to make a good looking game you got to do good graphics, you got to, there's a whole psychological impact on how to set up the game in a way that players just put themselves in the player's position, where in VR that's a lot more easily done for you because mechanically you're already in the first person view experiencing it.
I don't know, because I've played games my whole life. So when I get into a new game, like a particularly shooting game, like I know how to shoot the gun. I know how to move around and do all the grenades and stuff like that. But when I jumped into this, I was like, how do I... Oh, that worked.
There's definitely a learning curve.
Where's the bullet come? And then I shoot myself in the face. You know? Like, so it's more unintuitive for me because I've never actually done any physical activity in my life.
You know what's actually interesting with that? I experienced that too when I first played VR. I was just like, I don't know. I remember my first real experience was at a PAX, and I played as like a dino shooter, and it was with the Vive, so they had the really big clunky controllers, and I got a grenade, and then I pulled the trigger and the pin came off, and then I was just like, how do I throw it? How do I throw it? And I was like trying to like, I let go of the controller, which, didn't do anything anyways, because I had to like trigger to push it, whatever, and so I died, and so I get that too. But that's how I think if someone who was a normie, had never played games before, you sit them down and they had to play a first-person shooter, they're going to be the exact same way.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting for me, having played games growing up, going to VR and like developing for VR and being like, okay, this is a whole... There's no standard for VR and how things work. Like even the way you teleport, there's like 3 or 4 methods just to move in the space.
Yeah, that's weird. It's so weird, like... You've got all the upper body movement, but your legs just stand still.
Yeah.
Apart from when you turn around and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just holding out for the day when Elon Musk has put the computer chip in our brain and we can just, like, hack into the Matrix. You know what I mean?
For now, I think, like, we'll get there eventually. For now, they're trying to figure out ways... Because there's math that can make... Like... And this is the reason why I haven't done it. It's because it's math. It's complicated figuring out stuff.
That's why I haven't done it.
It's like it's literal physics of like, okay, you have a bone structure. If the hand's here and it moves from a certain angle, then the elbow's going to move a certain way. And like, there's people now making VR games that are figuring that out, and same with the feet. They don't need to track the feet, and they probably will get to the point where it's like, I'll just put trackers on you anyways. But for now, they're just doing the math to make it look like natural, at least.
Okay.
And so, again, it's going to be a progression, and it's annoying, and this happens in technology all the time. It's like we figure out a way to make something work, and then that becomes relevant when you've got a new piece of tech.
Yeah, and similarly, it's like we figure out how to make a game, and then when a new piece of tech comes around, they find a new way to sell Skyrim.
Exactly. New console, new Skyrim. Well, same Skyrim, basically.
Yeah. So you watch when the Matrix reality, brain interface comes out. You bet Skyrim and Fallout 4 will be the first thing. Then it's like, oh, got to get it now.
You know, interesting thing about that, because you know how they got the Matrix demo, the game thing that's come out with the Unreal. It's interesting that they chose to go with the PlayStation and Xbox for realistic graphics. And kind of trying to make... Because the whole premise of the demo is to be like, okay, what's real, what's fake? Because Unreal looks really good now that it's really hard to distinguish what's fake. It's interesting they went with that route instead of actually going into VR. Because there isn't a VR version of the Matrix demo. Even for PC VR.
Also, why not go on PC with the Matrix? Didn't they put the Matrix game on PC?
No.
Why not?
It's in the next-gen console thing.
Yeah, but why? That's the question. Like,
Okay, the actual reason why, I think, is because...
Money?
In a way, yeah.
Isn't it free though?
It is. It's a free demo from Unreal, but it's on the two main consoles because it's so much easier to make a game for those two specific hardwares than it is to make something for PC. Because with PC, you've got like all the GPUs, all the CPUs, all the different versions of Windows. Like, holy crap!
I still think it's dumb.
Yeah, they should have done. And because it's free, I reckon they should, and maybe they'll do this in the future. Because I think this was part... Now we're talking about something completely different with Matrix.
Well, we go into places,
we do. What I think Unreal will do is they're going to make parts of that game, whether it's the assets or code or whatever, free for the public to use Unreal, because basically Unreal wants to be the new Hollywood
I hope
software.
they can.
They can.
It's free. I hope they do it.
Yeah.
I know you're angry about the monopoly and stuff. Like, you have a seething rage inside of you.
And Unreal, there's certain things that... Unreal is slow, and it's cloggy.
It's slow and cloggy.
It's a big boy, but like, I'd rather it be more expensive and optimized and for those bigger industries than... This is the same thing with other engines as well, is they try to be the umbrella for everyone. But you can't be everything for everyone, because otherwise you can't do anything right.
That's true. That is 100% true.
So I think Unreal, they should... and they're kind of doing this now, you can see it when I use it, like they're splitting off the engine between people who are doing ArchViz, so, making buildings and putting it in little VR, whatever things.
They've got movie stuff.
They've got game stuff. So they're at least doing that. I just think that it's getting clogged up.
I just want the monopoly of game development to be taken away from the game industry and given to the people. Does that make sense? Like, I want people to be able to make really good games on their own. Like, Raymond Cripps. He was just given a bunch of money from Epic Games to make his... He's a single guy, and he's making... he's
a solo dev.
He's a solo dev. I don't mean that he's not got a girlfriend or that no one likes it. I mean that he's a solo dev who's making this really cool-looking anime game.
Yeah.
And they just gave him a bunch of money.
Yeah. And Epic can do that now, though, because they've done it heaps. They do it each year. They give out, hundreds of Epic mega grants to devs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they will only take royalties from your game if you make over $5 million. Isn't it like that?
I think it's... Yeah, it used to be at 100,000, but it's definitely gone up since.
Yeah.
But you know why Epic is so willing to give out stuff?
So they can build their brand?
It's because of Fortnite and because the film industry is using their... because Mandalorian used Unreal and practically Disney is making it for all their stuff now, they're getting royalties from those big productions.
Tell you what, Halo Infinite should have used Unreal.
I don't think so. Because I think this is another thing with game engines. Sorry, this isn't about... Or it's still about VR, because I can turn back to when I'm making games in VR. It was so much harder in engines. Just because Unreal can do certain things doesn't mean you should use it for every project or every game.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with certain teams. If your team... For 343, they've got a big enough team to make their own engine.
Their team is, all across the world.
Yeah.
A lot of them in India.
Yeah.
They outsource so much.
Okay, they could probably use Unreal because then people would... It'd be easy to train them because that's a standard engine. But with big companies like, for example, Ubisoft, they have their own engines. It makes sense for them to do that.
What does Ubisoft use again?
They use Anvil.
Anvil, okay.
And so it's funny because what happened was they used that for Assassin's Creed, for Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, and all these games. They're very open world games, exploration games. Yeah, exactly. But the engine is made for that.
Yeah.
Problem they had now, they're remaking Prince of Persia, which is not made for single player time manipulation, and so they had to rework parts of the engine because it's used to this massive open world adventure game, basically.
Yeah. Anyway, back to VR.
Back to VR. One of the things I think that Facebook or Meta, I mean, it's such a dumb name.
Awful.
I think every time someone says Meta, they're just like, what a dumb name.
What does meta mean? What's the actual... Let's find the actual definition of the word meta.
Meta.
Just so we can know what they're all about. Separated, blah, 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 blah. Basically, science, mumbo-jumbo, metaphysics mumbo-jumbo has the word meta in it. Anyway, screw Meta. I do not like the Zuck. I think he is an android from the future sent back in time to enslave humanity.
I think they will do good in terms of making tools more accessible and better, but I think their end goal is not very moral or ethically.
What do you think their end goal is?
To have monopoly on the world. So, for example, you get up in the morning, you go on your phone, you go on certain apps, you have a shower, you brush your teeth, you have breakfast, you go to work, you come home, you play some games. They will, you might have to go to the shops and get groceries. They want every single step of your day is just them getting money from you.
So they don't just want a monopoly on the world, but like your life choices.
Yeah, all your transactions in life and what you do is all dependent on their services that they provide. The toothpaste you have, Meta toothpaste.
Oh, dude. Meta toothpaste.
Well, okay, what I think will end up happening is that you'll be using Meta goggles for things, and you'll be using services like Amazon, but then obviously Meta's going to take a cut because it's on their headset. And so a lot of the stuff that they're going to be... Basically, they're like, okay, we can't rule the world, but the world's going to die anyway, so let's just make this metaverse that people can jump onto when the world sucks, and we'll own it all.
Like in Ready Player One.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if they're going to give us the old drink verification can. Have you seen that?
No.
When Microsoft bought out the old Xbox One, where it was like, no game sharing, nothing like that, always online. People were like, oh, you want to start your Xbox? That's okay. Open up a Mountain Dew verification can. So it's like, drink. Please turn on Xbox Connect. Open verification can. Drink verification can. Say phrase. I love Xbox. Xbox great. Like you had to do the song and dance.
Right.
And then it was like, verification failed. Please try another verification can. Another Mountain Dew and drink it. It's like, I mean, they're kind of accurate with the Halo skins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are they going to have? Do the meta dance.
I think they should have a microchip in the back of your neck. And if you haven't done what they tell you to do, then you're not going to have access to certain things.
In the occult, in various occult ideologies, the back of the neck and head is where the soul comes out. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I will get certain microchips in me by people that I trust.
Why?
Okay. Here's what I would do, just for myself.
Yeah.
If I, for example, own my own studio or whatever, I would have a chip inside me that when I go up to it, I can just and open the doors and go inside. But
where would it be? Where'd the chip be?
In my wrist.
In your wrist? Like, typically they put it in here.
Yeah, I just put it in my wrist so I can just put it up.
But if you put it in your wrist...
But also, by saying they put it in, it's a chip I've made and I've said, okay, this open source people that do the chips, whatever. Like, if Shad's like, alright guys, you're getting chips in the neck tomorrow, I don't think either of us are going to. As much as we trust Shad, I'm not getting...
Okay, but if you see an advertisement saying, hey, open source chip, make your own chip. Right?
I would, with stuff like that, I would wait time to see what happened.
My point is, they control so much of what we see. How do you know they haven't conditioned you to be like, I want to get a chip, but I want to make it myself. Let's have a look at what they've got. Yeah. And you pick the one that they use, that they want you to use. Do you honestly think it's beyond them?
I don't think that that's smart yet. They probably will they'll pick up on that.
If they can tell, like, if you say the word cats, cat food, pet cats, like for example, the other day I was talking about dogs, right? When I was at Ben's place with his family, because I've got a new dog, and I keep getting advertisements for kennels.
Yeah.
I don't have a dog.
It's creepy, but also I think open source, like, until the internet is no longer a Wild West, which we're slowly seeing it being created and...
Just like the original Wild West.
Yeah, it's... They're putting in
Lawman's
laws.
coming to town.
Yeah, exactly. Until that happens, there will always be forums and websites that you can go to have trustworthy sources. When that stops, that's when you download Onion and you start going on other web internet. Like, not the dark web, like the grey web, basically.
Onion?
Yeah. You can use Onion to...
What's Onion?
It's a web browser or VPN. It's very confusing because they've got like a whole suite of different apps and stuff you use to get onto that side of the internet.
Okay. Oh, the deep web.
The deep web, yeah.
Apparently that's owned by the government.
The deep web?
The deep web, yeah. I was watching a YouTuber who does like conspiracy. He doesn't like be like, this is true. He says this is what the conspiracy theory is.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's basically confirmed that the deep web, as it's called, is owned by the government.
Look, we're going into an information age where it's very hard to tell what's true and what's not.
Like, in the sense that their services that they don't want to put on the regular internet are all put on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, there's some dark stuff on there.
Isn't that why it's called the deep web or
the dark web?
Net? Dark
web. There's the deep web, or deep web?
Into the Spider-Verse, basically.
Yeah, basically. But going back to VR...
Dude, imagine... Oh, I'm thinking deep web VR. You'd find some weird anime in that, wouldn't you? Stuff they don't even allow in Japan.
Yeah, no. In terms of VR and where we're at right now, here's my opinion. We have come a long way since good old... Was it Palmer? Lucky Palmer?
Who's Palmer?
He made the Quest. I mean, the Quest. The Oculus. The first Oculus. The big, beefy thing.
As if they're all pretty big and beefy.
No, but this was the first one that was like it wasn't mainstream, but it was like, oh, VR's making a comeback. The last VR thing that was actually noticeable was the Nintendo one that was like red and you throw up because of it. But yeah, Lucky Palmer, he made the first Oculus, and then sold it to Facebook. He's doing his own thing now. He's like doing stuff with the army and defense and stuff. So we've had that, and then we had Valve and HTC partner up to make the HTC Vive, that was my first headset I owned. Not great, but not bad. Like, I had some good memories with that thing. So PC VR is when you need a headset and a computer to play VR.
What about the Wii, though? Do you remember the Wii?
Yeah, that wasn't VR, though.
But it had the little...
It had the motion controls.
Yeah, nunchucks.
They weren't even proper motion controls.
How did they work then? Because I could point at the thing and...
Yeah, so there'd be a sensor. So with the remote, there's...
Laser?
Not a laser, like a receiver.
So the controller receives it.
Yeah, and so when you put the little sensor bar up top, it's not the remote going to the sensor, it's the other way around.
That's cool.
What you can do is you can get 2 candles, put it at your TV, and then the remote will censor those as being the sensor.
Wow. I don't know how that works. How does a candle do it?
It's just 2 lights. Anyway, back on topic. So in VR, PC VR was the main thing. Problem being, it's too expensive. Great games on it. You got Boneworks, Pavlov, Beat Saber made its way there. Half-Life Alyx. Issue being, although the retention's quite high, it's very expensive. And then you have the other side, which was the cardboard mobile gaming.
Oh, that sucks.
Where it's just you've got goggles and your phone, and it was a good exposure for people with VR, realizing, okay, so VR, I mean, not even, when I think about it, not even.
It was awful.
It wasn't good. It was very accessible to people, because all you need is a bit of cardboard, and you can take those to, all the conventions and whatever, and show people what VR is. Issue being the retention's very low, because the products were sucky. There wasn't anything really engaging. And so you have this issue where those who can get VR aren't liking it, and those who have gotten the really nice VR, it's very hard to get that. And so a good thing that's happened with Facebook is that they've merged those two together and made the Quest and the Quest 2, which was cheaper. Quest 2, I think, sold more than both of the next-gen consoles, not only because it was cheaper, but because it was actually available, unlike the other 2 consoles, which are like low in stock.
Okay.
And the good thing with that is that, so it was more affordable for parents to buy it for their kids, and just for people to pick up in general, but it had the same motion controls and stuff as the PC VR. You had Beat Saber, you could play shooters, and you could hook it up to your PC, so if you had a PC, you could still play PC VR. that's why I got it, because my Vive was dying and I wanted PC VR, but also I wanted to show my family what VR was like, at the in-laws and stuff. We're playing Beat Saber on that. And so where we're at right now is, I think VR's slowly, it's been a slow burn, and both of those two sites have been dying out. And I'm pretty sure Google has just stopped Google Cardboard because they're like, nah, stuff that. And PC VR is going to be like this little small niche group of people who are just like, they're going to be in jumpsuits with haptics and like treadmills, full motion body tracking in VR chat.
I'll wait till I'm in the goo pod with all the
cables attached to you.
Yeah, I'll wait for that.
Okay. But for now, we've got Quest, and I think Valve is going to come out with a new headset, which is going to be for PC VR, but as wireless.
Hello, Future Nathan here, just editing this video and thought I'd add my 2 cents in this, thinking this over. I actually think that it's going to be a standalone headset, much like the Quest 2. Because Valve's bringing out the new Steam Deck, I think they're going to put the same tech they have in for this portable PC into the actual headset itself, so it's going to be more of a competitor to the Quest 2, but I'm guessing the VR space is heading for a all-in-one headset. Anyways, back to the video.
I tried explaining VR to my mum once, and I was like, yeah, this is how VR works. It's like you put this headset on and like you move around in the world, and she's like, that's great, sweetie. So when do you think they'll start doing that? She just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
It's like she doesn't understand how an FM radio works. Like,
bless your mum.
Yeah, she's still in the 70s, man.
She's just still got her vinyl records, putting it on, being like, woo! I remember my parents' experience with VR. So in VR, I had just the home world space and got them to walk around in it.
And how'd they feel?
They were like, damn. Because in the Steam VR home, you can go to this little like garden-y area, and you have the Vive remote still in the... Like, that's the coolest thing about VR, is that with stuff like remotes, they can be one-to-one, basically. So they're like, oh, this is cool because it's like immersive. And then a butterfly came and rested on the like little Joy-Con thing, and my dad's like, damn. But like, that's all they're gonna really do. They can... I don't think it's for those older generations. Some of them are really into it. Like, there's a really big audience for Elite Dangerous in VR. Just these boomer, like, old dads who are retired.
Space,
they're just in their armchairs, flying around space with VR. Like, it's not... They're not even playing VR. They're just playing the Starship game, basically.
Yeah.
But it's... when I look at what Facebook wants to do, that's when I get terrified about VR in the metaverse. Because people have tried... They've, like, ever since Facebook came out with that, I've seen videos of people trying VR in a day. So they have all their meetings in VR. They'll do recreational in VR. And not only when they play games, there's just little squeakers in the like rec room. It's just like,
we don't call them squeakers anymore. We call them Zoomers. Squeakers is so 2009.
No. These aren't Zoomers though.
What are
this
they?
is the next generation.
We can't call them squeakers. Squeakers had their time, like the dinosaur.
But they are still going on rampant. They're even worse in VR because they're not. They're not Zoomers, dude. They're the next one.
I miss the days when I go into Halo and call the kids in the lobby squeakers. Those great times.
Because they still exist. They just have changed from Halo to VR. Which is bad to have as a babysitting tool. Parents, don't do that to your children. Let them go to the park and go outside and go to school and like interact with friends. Because VR is so bad for, I think, adolescents.
Wait. So let the parents decide that their children can go outside? No. The government decides that.
Oh, I mean, in China, the government wants you to go outside. They want you to stop playing games.
Yep.
In terms of VR, is it dead? No. If you are an enthusiast, I don't know why you're watching this video, because you already know... I have so much more to explain, but you already know it all.
Yeah.
If you haven't played VR and you're interested in it, I say, if you've got the money, just buy a Quest 2, get Beat Saber, play around, and it's a good social thing. Like my in-laws, they had a PlayStation, and they got the PlayStation VR and Beat Saber. My wife loves it.
She good at Beat Saber?
She's real good at Beat Saber. And Beat Saber is relevant to her because it has pop music on it. Like, it's got
yes,
all the soundtracks.
The Spice Girls and the Britney Spears that the children are listening to.
Oh my god, you just age yourself a lot. And the BTS.
You know what music I listen to? It's
lo-fi chill hop?
No.
Oh, what do you listen to?
I started listening to Leonard Skinner.
Uh-huh.
You know Leonard Skinner and the Wizard Lizard? You know him? He's the guy...
Is he related to Mark Zuckerberg?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
He's
honestly, I've been
Lizard,
listening to a lot of EML music. stands for End My Life. I'm kidding. That's a joke.
Help down below in the comments, please. How do I deal with this?
You're not a licensed psychologist. Call the wife.
She's not either, though.
Don't let her hear you say that.
Oh no, I always tell her, like, you're a psychologist because she's studying psychology, but then she's like, yeah, but I'm not qualified yet.
The psychology of VR, that's a video right there.
Yeah, that is something I was reading into. Like, Shad reads into castles and ancient histories. I read scientific studies about how games affect people.
Yeah, and I read too much into everything.
That's the Night's Watch. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
So, if you want to get into VR and it sparks your interest, I think get a Quest 2. If you hate Facebook, then just wait a little while, because I think eventually more competitive headsets are going to come out, and it's going to be... Each headset's going to get better and better. Right now, I think we're at the stage of, like, the first iPhone. I think the Quest 2 is, like, the first iPhone. It's more accessible, people can get it, and there's those people who, like me, who have it, and are just like, this is so good, you should get the iPhone. But in a few years' time, you're going to start getting the, like, Android flavors of headsets. Google, Microsoft, maybe other companies will invest in it, and you'll start getting different types of headsets. And once you have that market, and a lot of the things are a lot more grounded, because right now things are still very up in the air. Facebook's really the only one that's really doing stuff, but even then, what we have now is going to change so much in the next 5 years. I reckon in the next 5 years, you're going to start getting companies who are going to start pushing for more metaverse stuff.
Sure.
Because of things like NFTs and VR and everything, kind of this technology. They're waiting for this big submersion of everything. Right now, they're trying to fit it all together, and it's not working.
Internet of Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
I say, sure, you can wait for all the VR stuff to come, like a bigger market.
Yeah.
I say we just wait for Elon Musk to be elected as Antichrist, and we just get the chips in the back of our heads and in our hands, and...
Well, Gabe Newell, on the side, he's looking into brain-computer interfacing, both invasive and non-invasive. And you know what he said?
What?
We're not as far off as you think. Which is quite sinister, coming from a very rich billionaire guy who just sits back and goes...
You know what the invasive one looks like?
What? Matrix, basically.
Well, like, I'm just the procedure of how they set up. Like sewing machines? Essentially like that, except it jabs little diodes into your brain.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
But with listening to him, when you talk about VR and psychology, he's talking about some really interesting stuff with... of how the brain's affected and how it can affect your emotion. For example, if you give someone or give the impression of a cold environment, their body's going to go into shock because it actually thinks that it's getting cold, but if you touch it physically, it's still warm. And so there's very ethical things, and this is a psychic thing you see with social media, is that they made the technology, and then 10 years later are like, why are all our users depressed and addicted to our software? What's going on? And then they're like, because all the mechanics and the ways the system works isn't very ethical. And so the reason why it's able to hold off with the VR, there's safe ways to experience VR.
Yeah.
And it's through just general games, and being a normie basically will keep you safe.
Well, similarly,
Don't spend too much time in VR.
Over 1,000 years ago, the Chinese were like, hey, these make beautiful lights in the sky.
Yeah.
They fly up and they boo.
Yeah.
Why are they being pointed at enemies and then, people being blown up with it now? Gunpowder.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, you invent something, someone finds a way to kill someone with it.
Exactly.
You think the inventor of the pencil was like, hey, John Wick's going to use this to kill 3 men in a bar.
No. It was just like, this is more convenient than just using,
A rock.
or what
Chisel.
What do they use? Lead. Yeah. Just using straight lead pencil. You got some wood around it, and now it's not as dangerous.
I love the old school lead pencils, like proper lead though. They're so delicious when you lick them because you have to keep writing. Delicious.
This explains a lot about Oz and his mental state.
It's the same flavor. It's a bit richer than mercury, I've found.
Yeah,
in terms of flavor.
Yeah. So, I want to hear your opinions about VR, whether or not you care at all about it, whether you want to own it. I think the one thing that's going to really push VR next, aside from the accessibility with headsets, is accessibility with making the games. Because to make a game, Oz, in VR, holy crap, is it hard!
My mate Petrus was doing it.
Yeah, I've been seeing him do stuff. And I was working on a game for 1.5 years. And it's still not done. So I was like, you know what? I'll make a PC game because it's going to be faster to finish. Because you have to be on a desktop, you got to do testing, you got to write program. And then to test it, you got to push play to launch it. And then you got to get your headset, you got to stand up, and you got to get into your space. And then, oh, wait, the headsets need charging. Okay, well, I'm just going to turn this thing off, take it off. And you're doing that back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's so tiring.
Yeah.
And so what Facebook wants to do is basically get rid of that and have it so when you're in VR, you can just work. When they do that, as much as it's just signaling the times with metaverse and just working in a VR space, when you're making stuff in VR, you don't want to be out of VR making it, because I can tell you, it sucks balls.
That's not, well, I mean, depending on what you're into. But, yeah, that's the thing. I'm okay with being put into the VR metaverse as long as they provide us with red pills to get out. Because, like, the red pills that my psychiatrist provides to me, I actually found out what's in them. It's lithium.
Oh.
Apparently it counteracts mercury and lead poisoning.
But yeah, so VR is not dead. I think it's going to slowly grow. And we've seen it definitely now with the Quest, and that's going to be the happy middle, I think.
In there is our future.
Yep.
And there is a new frontier.
Yep.
That's a Tron quote. Good movie.
Good movie. Good movie.
Have you got anything else to say on the matter? I've just said it all. Matrix bad. We're eventually going to go into it. Elon Musk probably the Antichrist.
And I think big corporations don't know what they're doing, and they're going to have to... other people are going to pick up the slack instead. They have this big vision of this corp... Like the metaverse video was utter
Terrifying.
cringe. Awful.
No,
That's
cringe.
not how it's going to work.
Terrifying cringe, though.
Yeah,
it's
it's not going to work like that. They're going to have other people to pick up the slack for them. And they're not going to make that content. Other people are going to make the content, and then they have to cater around the content other people are making, which is, yeah, basically a storefront. So you just need to learn how to make good shelves.
We will live to see man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And we're seeing them being developed, and we're doing nothing about it.
Just look at VR chat.
Just look at VR chat.
I mean, I made some good friends there. That's a lie. Not in VR chat. Other VR things. But VR chat's
Dude, VR chat, man. 15-foot tall kangaroo footers. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. What's that, Skippy? Degeneracy?